Welcome to the Speakers Practice and our Friday Forum. Hi, I'm Adrienne McLean, the founder of the Speakers Practice. Welcome to Geoff Anderson, our guest speaker for today. Hi, Geoff.
Oh, hi Adrian, how are you? Thanks very much for having me on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. The Friday Forum is for business people. I interview business professionals on all sorts of topics. The aim of this forum is to discuss ideas and practical ways you can use to promote your business, as well as hear real-life examples from experts in their field. The Speakers Practice offers practical and educational programs to develop presentation skills in the workplace. Our focus is on helping professionals to promote their business by using up-to-date promotional tools and techniques to deliver confident presentations. We offer the Business Speakers Forum, our Speakers Training Camp, a presentation skills workshop, our presentation and video program, and a mentoring program, along with a return to work and special occasions workshops. Now let me introduce our guest, Geoff Anderson. Geoff is a video production specialist, the managing director of Sonic Side, and author of Shoot Me Now, Making Video to Boost Business. Geoff is an authority on creating video and marketing businesses with the video. Geoff assists a broad range of clients with their communication and promotional needs and loves being able to use video to tell creative stories about the companies he works with. Geoff, thanks for joining us, and we're keen to get started. What is it about video that marketing with video is becoming so important?
Look, Adrian, I think it's a really exciting time for businesses, and I actually wrote in my book that video is one of the greatest gifts that businesses have been given of late. It's such an easy way to communicate with people. It's engaging, it's compelling, and what it also does is it enables you to engage emotionally, so much more than mere words could do. The combination of the visuals with the voice, with the music, it really does compel people. So it's also so much more accessible now. Anybody can make one even with a mobile phone. And I don't advocate that too much, but if you want to get started, it's possible for anybody to do it. And if you take a few tips under your hat, you can do it quite well and get up and running, and you can refine it as you go. So it's certainly I see this huge wave happening at the moment where people are using video very successfully to really engage with their audience, to show the personality of the people behind the company, and it just enables you to connect. It's easier to watch and it's easier to share online. The faster download speeds we have, we're still waiting for faster download speeds, but at the moment, we're able to watch video as part of our online experience. Which makes it easy. I mean, every day videos are getting shared, and compelling videos are getting shared, all the more. And yeah, as I said before, it's becoming easier to create, and they don't have to be long, drawn-out videos. In fact, I encourage people just to make short ones. They can just be a quick tip or a quick advice. So it's a really powerful and it's a really contemporary way that people should be using it. But I know of a guy who I've just been doing a video for a client, and he's really embracing the power of video because he's rebranded his company. He sells vitamin tablets, and he's rebranded it from a corporate sounding name to actually his own family name, and it's totally transformed the positioning of his product. But he's also realised that people love hearing his personal story. And so we're making a video about his personal story, about his passion for what he does. And it really resonates with people because they say there's so much more to this company than just a corporate entity. It's actually a person who has a real passion, and that's what's really attracting people and really engaging them.
Yes, there's such a connection, isn't there, with video? You can really make it so personalised, and it's so easy to do now.
And I think also, the point I didn't make was it's also so easy to consume it,
Yes,
so easy to watch it.
correct.
I don't know about well, I do know about other people. I know myself. I look at, if I see a couple of pages of text I've got to read or a 90-second video to watch, well, I'll just sit back and watch the
Yes.
video. And so often the information can be explained so much more clearly in a quick video than trying to explain, you do this, then you do that or whatever. You can actually see it and understand it
So much.
so much quicker. So it's a really, it's and I think the results are the reasons that it's becoming so much more popular. More and more people are realizing, yep, we've got to be using video because they're seeing, they're using it, they're watching it, they're realizing, look, it works for me as a consumer. I'm watching it. It's obviously going to work for my clients if I'm providing it as well.
Well, I think that takes us on to the next step is what are the steps in creating a video? Most of us have a camera that will take video in either a phone or a handy cam, but what's the process that we need to go through?
Yeah, well, look, actually, there is a double-edged sword that having your phone or your handycam nearby makes it very easy to just get up and running and do it. But it's also going to be a bit of a trap because you can start doing it and not really have a clear plan of what you're trying to achieve. So I encourage people to, first of all, know what your purpose is. Why are you making the video? Is it to get a sale? Is it to get a like on your Facebook page or get a button clicked on your website? Is it to promote an event? Is it just to build your profile? Are you providing customer support? So just be clear on, what is the purpose of this video that I'm making at this moment? What am I trying to achieve from it? What's the action I want as a result of it? The other thing that I'm quite passionate about is know who your audience is. So often people just go, I'll just make this video, and it becomes a bit of a mess because they're not really focused on who they're talking to. And the more clear you are on who you're actually talking to, the more your message is going to resonate with them. So think about it. Who is the video for? Why is it important to them? And what are they going to be interested in? What aspect of what you're providing is going to be, what's in it for them, really? And that's going to help engage them mostly. And then, the more clear you are about who you're talking to, the stronger your message can be, the more focused it can be, and the more it's going to resonate. And also, know what's your message. So, once you know the purpose of the video and you know who your audience is, you can then work on the key messages you want to deliver. And if you're finding that you want to include lots of information, then what I recommend to people to do is to think, okay, how can I break this down into more bite-sized chunks? The beauty of YouTube is you can have a series of videos. You can create a playlist, so it just goes from one video to the next. I mean, I believe people are going to, much easier to get them to watch 4 1.5-minute videos than 1 5-minute video. They'll look at it and they think, oh, it goes for 5 minutes, I don't have time for that. But if they watch a 90-second one and think, yeah, that's good, what's next? And they watch that and go, yeah, that was good as well. And you can keep them going if you break it up. So don't try to put too much information in there. Keep it to a core message each time, and that's going to resonate and have a lot more power for them. Then the next step, once you've got all those ideas sorted, is then to write your script. And this is a really important point because the whole production process starts from the script. And if you don't have a good script, if you haven't really got your thoughts together, you're going to end up spending so much more time in the production process, in the filming, and in the post-production where it gets expensive. But if you just stop, take half an hour and write down your thoughts, be clear about what you need to say, the order in which you need to say it, and what you want to see in the video as well. A script is not just the words, but it's also the visuals. How can you show what you're talking about so that it makes more sense to people who are watching it? So take the time to just stop, gather your thoughts, put them down on paper, and you'll find the rest of the process will be so much easier. It's like building a house with a blueprint. It works. If you start without it, it's a bit of a mess. And then the next step is, well, then you plan the shoot. Where are you going to shoot it? It's really important you get a location that's controllable. And by that I mean you're not going to have people walking through it or trucks driving through it. The sound isn't going to be a problem. So somewhere where you can control the environment. It could just be a home or an office or whatever, but just something that you've got control over. Work out who needs to be there for it. Are you going to have a friend or somebody do the filming for you? do you need to organize, how big is the crew going to be? Is it going to be quite a big crew? Do you need catering? And I'm a big fan of feeding the crew, making a well-fed crew is a happy crew in my book. And then also schedule, work out how long you're going to need to do the filming, but also, and this is a point that a lot of people miss, is how long is it going to take you to park, unload, set up? How long is it, if you need to go to another location, how long is it going to take you to pack down and then relocate and set up again? So just think it through about all the timings and stuff. If you're just starting out on this, I imagine it's just going to be a simple shoot in one location. But as you go, you might, start looking at more complex shoots that are required. So, just take some time to think about all these steps, and you'll save yourself a lot of grief at the time. Then you do the filming. So whether you do it with your own little camera, your phone or whatever, or whether you do it with, something more sophisticated, do your filming, then you do the editing. There's a lot of free editing programs out there these days. There are some relatively cheap ones to buy, and then there are some, high-end ones to buy as well. But most operating systems, whether it's a Mac or a PC, will come with a reasonably good editing program on board with it. So it does take time to get your head around it. So if you've got the time and that's, and you can afford the time to spend on it, well then I guess dip your foot in the water and have a play with that. If time is a bit more valuable to you, then outsource that and get somebody who does it every day who can, knock it together pretty quickly for you. I will, however, point out that editing takes a lot longer than you would expect. You may think, oh, I can do this in half an hour, and you find out it takes you 4 hours. So be prepared for a bit of long time with editing. It takes a bit of a while. And then, the next step is the distribution, which is, how do you get it out there, out on YouTube or wherever, through your social media, whatever else. So I do discourage people from using DVDs these days. I actually had an inquiry from a client just yesterday wanting to, quickly turn around 100 DVDs, and I said to her, look, I really think you'd be so much better off just posting this up on YouTube, sharing the link, because you send out 100 DVDs, and I expect that you'll end up with one of them will actually be used and watched, because people just don't bother. They don't bother, putting a DVD into the drive. They'll click on a link to watch a video on a YouTube channel, but they, I think the days of the DVD are gone with the dinosaur.
So whatever's easiest works best. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so we're starting to think about what are some of the pitfalls that we've got to be aware of. You've mentioned some about the planning and the editing. Are there other things that we need to be aware of when creating a video?
Well, if you're not aware of them beforehand, you'll be aware of them afterwards, I'm sure. There's plenty of things that don't always go smoothly as you'd like. The first thing that I always reiterate to everybody who's going to go and make their own videos is the sound is going to be your biggest problem. A lot of people don't appreciate that until after they've shot some footage, but the sound is always the #1 problem that people have. So take your time to get a decent microphone so that you can hear properly. Listen to the recording. So if you're using, for example, a smartphone and you can't monitor the sound when you're recording, then monitor it straight afterwards. Although you can buy microphones for smartphones which enable you to also plug in a headphone into it at the same time. So whoever's doing the filming of you can be listening at the same time to checking that, yeah, that's working as it should be. So sound is the big problem. So things to help you with that is, as I mentioned before, don't get a noisy location. Find something that's is not too noisy. Even air conditioning can be disturbing if it's loud. And other things, you think, oh, I'll go out in the park, but you might have planes flying overhead or trucks coming nearby. So, or birds are, creating a racket. So listen to it and be quiet and think, what am I hearing now? And determine whether or not that's going to be a problem. Sometimes, it might be highly appropriate. You might be talking about kids and you've got noisy kids playing in the background, and that's fine. But if you're talking about a business subject that doesn't involve kids, that might be quite distracting. So, as I say, check the sound as it's been recorded if you can. That'll alert you if the microphone battery's died, if there's rubbing noises because you've got a lapel microphone attached to some clothes, if there's static or buzz happening on it. or if you're picking up some sounds that you weren't aware of. If you can't listen to it when you're recording, then listen to it straight afterwards. So do a check of the recording and make sure, yeah, that worked and that's clear, that's good, we're ready to pack up. The last thing you want to do is, arrive back in the edit suite and find out, that didn't work. You've got you've got nothing. So take the time. You can get good microphones in places like Dragon Image. They've got offices in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and Singapore. So they've got some great quality gear at very good prices, so I recommend them. But yeah, if you can't get a microphone for your smartphone, then stand up very close to it in a very quiet environment. So when I say close, I mean like 2 feet away, really close to it so that you can be heard very clearly, but make sure nobody's sort of rubbing the phone while you're talking. So that's a fallback position if you need it. Another thing that people do when they frame a picture is they put the face in the middle of the frame. It feels natural to them. That's what they're looking at. But when you look at it, you realise you've got all this empty space above the head. So what you want to do is you actually want to get the head at the top of the frame. Okay. So when you look through the viewfinder, look at the whole picture as if it was on a picture on a wall, and get the top of the head at the top of the frame. If you go full body shot, then get the top of the head at the top of the frame and the feet at the bottom of the frame. So and I've seen ones where people have got the head in the middle of the frame, the feet at the bottom of the frame, and half the screen's empty because they haven't framed it properly. So very easy to get wrong, very easy to fix, and it suddenly makes you look more professional than an amateur with that very simple trick. Another thing is a tripod. If you can, make sure you get a tripod. I sort of didn't think I needed to remind people this, but I realised, I've seen some videos. I thought, oh no, still people don't know that's a pretty basic thing to make your video look good. There are exceptions to every rule, and you'll see some high quality productions that don't use tripods, but there's a reason they don't do it, and it's intentional. So it's okay to break the rules when you know what you're doing and why. But I would recommend if people are starting out, definitely use a tripod. Keep the image still, and allow the person doing the presenting, if that's what you're filming, to provide the action and the activity. You don't want people to get distracted because they're wondering what's going on behind them. Why is the cameraman moving the camera? Because then you've disconnected them from the message as they try to think about what's going on. Another thing people can do is they can film people against a bright background, and the subject gets silhouetted because they haven't got the lighting right. So have the light on the person, not behind the person, and they haven't got spare batteries. It's always a way the batteries will fail when you need them. Make sure you've got spare batteries for your devices, and that can include your microphones as well as your camera. And make sure you've got your media cards, or you've got enough space on those, or you've got fresh ones to go with. You don't want to end up having to wipe something that you haven't backed up yet, or saved. And on that, always make sure you've got a backup of your media. After you've filmed stuff, copy it to a hard drive and then copy it to another hard drive, preferably not in the same location, because if that's where your media is and you're wiping the cards each time to do the next recording, you can't afford not to have a copy of it. If something goes wrong to one of the drives, you've lost it. And if you're shooting videos, as part of the script writing stage, plan what other visuals you want. So that's called overlay or B-roll footage. And make sure you create a list when you do the filming and go and get the stuff that you need. I've seen jobs where people turn up in the edit suite and they've got a script, but they haven't shot all the footage. So there's all these black holes of where they actually should have shot stuff, but they just got tired and didn't bother shoot completely. It's like, well, that's not going to work for you. So yeah, people, you need to make sure you get all the shots you need. So have a clear list and then tick them off as you go. Another pitfall that people do is they go and get very excited about the prospect of making videos, and they go and buy some great quality, expensive equipment and don't know how to use it. And they might have a go at it once and realise this is all too hard, and they end up, with this thousands of dollars of equipment sitting there doing nothing, and staring at them saying, you paid a lot of money for me and you're not getting your money's worth. So I highly recommend to people who do want to get into the high-end sort of equipment to go out and hire some stuff. You can hire stuff from a variety of places. Do a search for professional video equipment, and you'll find you can hire some really good gear for about $300 or $400 for the day. And rather than paying thousands and thousands of dollars, You can do that. If you plan your shoot, you could end up shooting, 12 videos in a day. That could be, a month's, a year's worth of content if you send it out each month. So I really highly recommend that people hire before you buy. If you're finding you're using it a lot and you're hiring it every week, then sure, start looking at purchasing stuff. But if you're only using it every few months, you're so much better off just hiring equipment.
Okay.
That would be my other pitfall that I've seen people do.
Just back onto the lighting side, what are some approaches with lighting? Because that can have a bit of a big impact on the end result of the video.
It can, yeah, absolutely. So look, there's a three-point lighting process. It's a little bit hard to describe audio-wise, but essentially you have two lights at the front and one behind the person to give them definition, to bring them out from the background. It's always nice if you've got a bit of depth in the background. So you don't want the lights to be too sharp. You don't want really sharp shadows. So what you can do is, if you're in an office environment with a low ceiling, with a white ceiling, you can actually bounce the light. You can point the light at the ceiling, and that creates a nice soft light over the subject. And you can use scrim, which is it's like a baking paper, but it's white that doesn't burn. That you can put in front of the. It does burn if it gets hot enough, by the way. But you can put in front of the lights to diffuse the light, so it's a softer light. So yeah, it's important to make sure the subjects are well lit, and depending on your camera, you want to get the exposure right so that they pop out. If they're poorly lit, the focus is soft, the image is dull, and it's just not very interesting. If they're well lit, the image is a lot brighter, it's a lot more engaging, it's a lot more interesting, and the image is a lot sharper. So definitely use lights where you can, or outside is a great environment for using lights. In fact, on a cloudy day, you can get some great even lighting without harsh shadows on a person. The backgrounds can look a little bit dull, but it's your sun is certainly your primary lighting source if you're outside, and it works a treat.
Well, that brings us on to our next question about how can we create videos that makes our business look $1 million?
Do you mean apart from getting Sonic Sight to make
right,
them for
yes.
you? Look, the thing I say to people is they already have an impression of your business before they've even met you, whether it's from meeting you, seeing you online, or hearing about you. And when they go to your website and see a video about you, the worst thing you want to do is have a video which reduces that impression they have. It makes you look dodgy, makes you look like an amateur operation that doesn't know what they're doing and is happy to put poor quality products out there about yourself. So make sure it looks good. So some of the things I've said before is make sure your audio is right, your framing is right, it's well lit, and they're the basic things to do. Use a background that doesn't distract your message. So think about what you're talking about, and is there a background that's going to be relevant that you can have? If not, then perhaps go with a neutral sort of look. But and do the planning. As I mentioned before, it's really important to just take those steps, and I think that's the difference between a poor video and a good video. It's one that's actually, it doesn't take a lot of time, but it's really important to do. We can get very excited. Videos are great fun to play with and great fun to do. But if you rush it and you don't take the right steps, you can end up with something that doesn't look as good as it should. As we discussed, make sure you've got plenty of light. It's going to add colour and brightness, make it easier to focus, and and avoid those dark shadows. And use a tripod, as we said before. And also, if you want to really look great, there's things you can use like a dolly and a crane. A dolly is basically your tripod on wheels. It provides a very smooth movement in front of the subject, which just lifts the production quality. It makes it look, so much more impressive. You just need to know, have somebody who knows how to use that sort of equipment. But a dolly only costs like about $60 a day to hire, so it's a really good investment, as it just lifts the whole production. You can hire cranes as well, which reveal a scene in such an impressive way. You'll often see crane shots used at the start and end of movies. It's like this really impressive shot. You can get smaller ones for corporate
Yeah.
videos, but once again, it's only, hundreds of dollars, not thousands of dollars to hire, and it really does improve the whole overall production that you're looking for. Depending on the sort of equipment you're using, I recommend, and I often do this myself, is I use people who use that equipment
Yes.
every day. So rather than trying to do all this yourself, use the people who do this every day, because they know what they're doing, they know the equipment, and they're going to be able to do it faster, cheaper, and better than you could possibly do it. And you'll get a much more impressive result. And you're using that experience that they've got, and they'll bring it, and they'll be able to bring all their years of experience that they've done with everybody else to your production. So I highly recommend, if you want it to look good, use good quality people who really know what they're doing, because that's what they do every day. I say to people, if you're in the business of selling widgets, well, that's great, sell your widgets. But if you're in the if you're like I'm in the video production business, that's what we do every day. So, I go to buy the widgets from the widget guy. I don't try to make them myself. So same things along. Also, a thing that really can have great impact and really lift the production of your video is the right music. It can really emotionally connect with people, and there's a lot of ways you can get royalty-free music out there. iTunes has its own royalty-free music that you can get for free. YouTube also has a music library of free music. So you can do a search online for royalty-free music. Just be careful though, because you see a lot of free music, and they're actually talking about it being royalty-free, but you do have to pay for it, and that's quite. I have an account with a company, Audio Network, that supply my music, and it costs me $2,000 a year to use that music, but I have an unlimited access to their library. So you do pay for it if you want to, but there's also a lot of free options out there as well. So the other thing is, you want to work out, well, what's the right video for you that's going to make you look great? There's dozens of different ways to make videos, dozens of different types of videos. So work out, is it a frequently asked questions? Is it a product demonstration? Is it a tips and tricks video? Is it a client testimonial? Is it a case study about your business? Is it a promo on a product? Or is it how to do something? Work out which ones you're comfortable with, and start with those. And I think the ones that feel right for you are the ones that are going to make you look the best as you go.
There's some wonderful tips there, Geoff. Thanks so much. Now, our
That's
next
okay.
question is one I ask each of our guest speakers, and it's, as a business owner, what's your advice about promoting a business by speaking?
Well, look, I do it every week. I'm a BNI member, and we have our Thursday morning breakfast meeting where we have to get up and speak in front of 50 or 60 business owners about what our business is. And the more we do it, the more proficient we get at it, the more we're able to then speak to new people clearly about what we do. But I think it's a great way to position yourself as an expert. It really, if you've got the confidence to stand up and talk about what you do, people will respect that. And I think, okay, well, you obviously know what you're talking about, because you're the one who's standing up when other people are sitting down listening. And it's also, I think it's really surprising to find out just how much you actually know about your topic. We sometimes think, oh, that person knows more, whatever. But when you actually condense your information into a presentation, you actually realize, I do know this stuff. You've had all the learnings and experiences that bring this, that have brought you to this point in your life. So you actually have a unique wisdom and perspective on the topic that you can share with your audience. So yeah, I think it's a powerful thing to do. You also attract better quality clients, I believe, because it lifts your credibility. And you get to mix with other cool people who are doing similar stuff and learn from them as they learn from you. And another reason I suggest you do it, because it's fun. The more you do it, the more you enjoy it. And, it's great for your ego when you're up in stage in front of 600 people and talking about, what you do or what you've done. And, they're listening and laughing. It's, it really does give you a boost.
Well, that's great advice. Thank you. So this
You're
is
welcome.
your promotional opportunity to tell us a bit about Sonic's site and what you have offered today?
Sure. Look, where this isn't quite live yet, it'll be live in a few weeks' time. I've written a book, Shoot Me Now, as you mentioned earlier, which is done very well, and I've had a lot of great feedback from it. I had a few people remark that they thought it a little bit ironic that I'd written a book about video production. And to support the book, I've now created an online training series of videos on how to make videos called Video Tips and Secrets. So it's got over 30 videos in there covering all sorts of topics, showing, the sort of information, some of the stuff we've talked about today, plus a whole lot more. So that's going to be available shortly. It'll be found at videotipsandsecrets.tv. And the idea is that'll be available to the general public for $97. But for your listeners, it'll be available for $47. So, if anybody wants to hone their video production skills, I highly recommend they tune into that.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Geoff. That's fantastic.
And they, if they're interested, if they can contact me at the email address you put in there, and I'll keep in touch with them and let them know when it goes live.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. I'm sure that's a wonderful resource because so many business people now are wanting to create videos. So that'll be right. We'll give them lots of information. So
Yeah,
anyway,
I hope it helps.
thank you, Geoff, for your time and expertise today. It's been wonderful to hear your approaches to creating video and marketing with video, and we really appreciate your time here today. So thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Adrian. I hope it's been helpful.
It certainly has. Well, thank you also to our listeners today, and our next Friday forum is the 28th of March. We look forward to hearing from you and seeing you then. Bye for now.